Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We'd like to welcome you to another wonderful segment of the AAU Building Bricks Youth Leadership Show. I am Herman Dunham Jr., your host, here with my main man,
co-host Teddy Portwine. Happy New Year before we get started.
Absolutely.
We haven't seen you guys since last year.
And we really thank you for sticking with us and joining us. Last year was first year. We had a good time. We enjoyed ourselves. We had a lot of great guests, and we're actually looking to take the show to higher heights this year. And we're starting it off right.
Oh, definitely, definitely. You know, we've got a special surprise today.
Super guest.
This is a guy that I saw come up from a young man,
okay,
and develop into what he is today. So I'm extremely excited.
Right.
It's a special day for me.
Right. So before we even get into that, we definitely want to thank our sponsors, Roger and Shavonna Johnson, president and founder and CEO and CFO of AAU Teen Talk TV, AAU Radio.
And also the Whitney E. Johnson Foundation.
Woo! Doing their thing. So we really appreciate them. We thank them for this time, this opportunity to be able to be before you and just, open up the discussion on what's going on with our young people today. Not that there's anything wrong, but everything isn't right. Everything isn't correct. Everything is at a point now where it could be better. So, and that, kind of segues us right into today's guest.
Right. And also, we've never clearly defined what we do. So what I want to say is,
okay,
we built the show around the youth, showing them different things that they can do. Because a lot of times they get caught up in, they're shooting for a certain thing.
Absolutely.
But just because you're not out front doesn't mean that you can't do other things in the industry that still affords you the lifestyle and environment that you want while still earning a decent living.
Absolutely.
The other thing we show you is that a lot of folks that we have on the show had to face diversity. Some even had setbacks.
Absolutely.
The young man here today, I know of a setback that he's faced, and that's why I'm so excited to have him.
Right.
Because I know his humble beginnings and where he comes from. I know his family.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So this is a young man I watched grow up. So when I see him doing great things, it makes me happy, man. I'm like, it's somebody that I know.
And I actually, I met him a couple years ago, but I get to see what he does on social media. And it's really, really phenomenal because I'm looking for him to do one thing. And then I'm like, wait a minute, he's over here too. And then wait a minute, he's over here too. Yes. And then it all comes together. And it's a phenomenal piece. And you have to really be a special type of individual to make things like that happen, I believe.
Oh, definitely.
And he's that individual. So without further ado, we definitely want to introduce, ladies and gentlemen, young people, to Mr. Roy Waterman. And we're going to let Roy introduce himself. And
Thank you, gentlemen, for the awesome, great, phenomenal introduction. That might be #1 introduction I've ever heard in my brief career in this sector. I am Roy Waterman. I am, as I like to tell people, I am a son. I am a brother. I am a husband. I am a cousin. I am an uncle. I am the physical manifestation of what prayer is. I am going on 40 years old, and I've been through a lot. I have an organization called Drive Change. I'm the director of program for the organization. And basically what we do is we train, we employ, and we mentor the formerly incarcerated young people that come home from adult jails and prison by teaching transferable skills in culinary arts, hospitality, money management, accounting, as well as assisting them in getting certain credentials like food handler, mobile vendor's license. So although making money is very important, as we all know, because the money makes the world go round, we believe the most important thing you can do is assist in the growth and development of a young person's life. You can only keep what you have by giving it away. So I myself have a personal vested interest in this organization because I'm one of the founders of the organization. I'm not the founder, but I'm one of the people that were from the beginning that helped launch this business roughly a little over 2 years ago. So we use food trucks as a living classroom, and we're deemed to be like a social enterprise. Our food truck is our living training model. Our young people get experience on what it's like to work on a food truck. They also engage with customers on a regular basis. And through that experience, as well as working in our prep kitchens, they learn what it's like to gain the hard skills of everyday working people, But we also have the professional developments where we teach soft skill development, how it's like to work in a work environment, how's it like to work around young ladies, how you should be speaking, like all the things that average people or a typical person thinks that it's a given. It's not so much a given considering the demographic of young people we're dealing with.
Right.
We're dealing with a lot of young men, even some young ladies now, but a lot of these young men don't know what it's like to even look at a woman in a respectful way without demeaning them or saying something derogatory.
Right.
So our goal ultimately is to change the way society views our young people. Also, more importantly, how our young people carry themselves in society so society can give them the due respect that they deserve.
Absolutely.
My personal vested interest in this organization is because I spent over almost 13 years in prison myself. And I went to prison when I was 19 years old. Came home, I was 31 going on 32. So I know what it's like to adapt. I know what it's like to be young, lack purpose, direction, and focus. And I also know what it's like to be in transition while in prison, trying to find my way and coming to the conclusion like, this is not my destiny. I wasn't meant to die here. I wasn't created to live the rest of my life in prison. So I did everything I could to educate myself, read a lot of self-help books, even take therapeutic programs. And then when my time came to come home, I came home thankfully for myself, unlike a lot of the young people I deal with, who I encounter, I had a support group. And people don't realize the importance of support group, networking, community.
Right.
When you don't have that, forget if you're not coming home from prison, if you just don't have that growing up as a young person, you don't know what it's like to feel love. You don't know what it's like to be a good father, to be a good husband, if you've never seen it exemplified in front of your eyes.
Right.
So for me, transitioning was easier for me unlike a lot of my other counterparts who've come home from prison, because I had family, I had a structure, I had systems, and I had the mindset already that I was not coming back to prison.
Right.
So I also am a chef. I have a catering business as well.
Absolutely.
And I do a lot of speaking all around the place. And like, I am all for, speaking or being the voice for those that don't have a voice right now.
Beautiful.
For a lot of young men I know, as well as young ladies that are behind the wall, that are praying, that are like crying, that are like, looking up at the ceiling, wondering when they're going to come home, when they're going to get the opportunity. And we have people come home every day that don't take advantage of the opportunity.
Wow.
So I'm all about showing how freedom is very important, but not even just important, but how you should take advantage and realize that we all have sight, but we all don't know what our vision is. Vision goes much deeper than what sight is. Sight, everyone has it.
Right.
Vision is a purpose. It's realizing that, what am I on this planet for? What impact do I want to leave? What kind of legacy do I want to create once I'm gone? So that's a little bit about myself.
And it's interesting because you had your father and your mother
Absolutely.
in the house.
Two-parent household, decided to rebel at an early age, unlike a lot of my young people who have one parent in the household.
Right.
So for me, it was more choice than it was out of instinctual nature,
Absolutely.
out of survival. I made a choice from an
Right.
early age. I grew
Right.
up in a two-parent household, working two-family household.
Right.
I just decided to rebel at an early age.
Right. You were spoiled.
No, I was
Compared.
not. No, I wasn't spoiled. I just had opportunity, and a lot of my young people don't have opportunity.
Okay.
And I think and when I say opportunity, I'm speaking specifically about whether it's just in the realm of food, equal opportunity to like healthy food in neighborhoods. You've been in neighborhoods, there's a Crown Fried Chicken everywhere. There's a McDonald's everywhere. Just healthy food options, healthy, choices, like knowing what it looks like to see somebody go to work every day. My father worked for retired from transit after 29, 30 years.
Right.
So I seen that. I had that example.
Right.
But from an early age, like I said, 6 years old, I realized from a lot of self-introspection in my own life, I realized my cycle of abuse, because I believe if you've been through a lot of stuff I've been through, if you've been through prison, if you have any sort of issues in your life, there's a cycle of abuse. There's a part in your life where everything started. And for me, it started when I was 6 years old in the first grade when I got left back. And after that point, I felt like I had to do everything in my power to act out to gain acceptance from my friends and friends. From my friends and anybody else, it didn't matter.
And that's really, really interesting because growing up in a middle class family, both parents, I guess the difference for me was, I was the baby, But not being, you said that you weren't spoiled, and I remember, like, if I look at, a majority of my friends, the individuals I went to school with, and you're just a little younger than
Just a
me,
little bit.
just a little bit. We were all really spoiled, like, just with the clothes that we had, anything that came out, we had it, in flavors and colors and so on and so forth. So I appreciate the fact that you were able to correct that and open up the depth of how you view life, from this perspective. And I'm sure that that's had a great deal to do with, how far you've come and where you are today and literally where you're going. You mentioned your catering business. What's the name
Yeah.
of
So my
Caribbean?
catering business is called Caribbean Soul Caterers.
Right.
And do corporate catering all around Manhattan, weddings, engagements, baby showers, you name it. I don't do it as much because I'm so heavily involved now with the nonprofit and giving back and like really, as I like to tell people, because a lot of people like give us a lot of praise and accolades for what we're doing, the work we're doing at Drive Change. And for me, I tell them, like, listen, we're not a charity. We are not changing anybody. We are change agents, but we're not changing anybody. We're merely pulling out what's already inside of these young people.
Absolutely.
We're just assisting in their transition and moving to the next level. Because a lot of times you don't know what's in you until you're pushed and pushed and pushed,
Right.
and it's drawn out of you, or you realize, like, wow, I didn't even know I was able to do that. The level of satisfaction my young people get when we win awards. We won an award in September for the best food truck in New York City.
Yeah.
Like, and on Governor's Island with over 2,000 people there. Like, they were like crying and happy. And like, there's over 3,000 vendors, mobile vendors throughout the streets of New York. For us to be number one, and we're only 2 years old, says like
Absolutely.
a lot.
Absolutely.
A lot.
And I've had Caribbean Soul Caterers, and the food is absolutely. Anyway, okay, you're making me hungry.
I mean, I remember when you came home. The thing that I was most impressed with when I saw you was the first thing I do is I look in people's eyes. He didn't lose the life because prison and abuse and those things can sometimes suck that out of you.
Absolutely.
So the first thing I did, we do a pound and hug, take a step back, and I didn't tell him, I just looked in his eyes, and I said, good, he didn't lose it.
Right.
He's going to be all right.
Right.
And look, we're sitting here today.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I don't often get to talk to a lot of folks a lot. I'm very scarce. But I do watch from afar. And even though I may not comment, I may not say anything, I'm always watching.
Right.
There's a lot of people from our neighborhood that's doing wonderful things.
Right.
I mean, we got directors, culinary guys.
Right.
We're doing things,
Right.
stunt women.
Right. Right.
So I'm always watching. But that was the one thing that I was most impressed about, to see that you hadn't lost a life. You didn't let prison suck the life out of you.
It's funny because I've always categorize a lot of things, because I always think that things are part of packages. Like, I tell people, like, listen, when I used to sell drugs, when I used to run around with guns, and I used to rob stuff and do all that stuff, it was part of smoking weed, hanging out all night. That was part of that package.
Right.
That's a package. Like, this is my lifestyle right now, and this is how I'm living. Walking around with a vest on, all that. Like, that's part of that package.
Right.
Now, I'm working, I'm law-abiding, I'm paying bills, I'm paying taxes, I have a business, I'm doing a lot of different things. I'm married, so this is all part of this package. And for me, as I tell my young people, you can't straddle that fence. You got to make a decision.
Right.
You can't straddle the fence, because when you straddle the fence, you have good intentions, but you have bad actions. Yeah. And you have to say to yourself, listen, either I'm going to go the wrong way 100%, or I'm going to go the right way 100%. To me, there's no middle ground, because eventually, no matter how good your intentions are, you're going to get caught up and be like, man, what am I doing here again? Right. It's funny, like what you mentioned about what you seen in my eyes when I came home. And I kind of like attribute a lot of that to the fact that I've never, while I was in prison, I always looked at it as a temporary stay. I never looked at it like it was going to be my permanent resting place. I never looked at it like I'm going to die here. I'm going to like it was times when the light was so far at the end of the tunnel, I couldn't see it.
Okay.
And I gave my time back, and I became a paralegal and all that stuff as well while I was in prison.
Wow.
So, you know, the light was far at the end of the tunnel, and I would see a lot of men come in and out the system and have a year to do and cut somebody and have 20 more years added onto it. You know, and I just would say to myself, like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I can't put myself, like, I have too much working for me. Like, this is not how I want on my, like, tombstone, like, yeah, he died with potential. And I know too many young men who are doing 50 and 70 and 80 years to life that are never going to get the opportunity.
Right.
And what? It's all based off of what? Potentially, he had a lot of energy. He was a smart guy. He was book smart. And, you know, he had all these things working for him. And that one thing, and the sad part is we are, as much as we don't want to judge people on the one bad decision they make, no matter if they do 1,000 great things,
Right.
the society we live in does it all the time,
Absolutely.
unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, the young people that come to you,
Yes.
come to Drive Change, I know you find them in a lot of different conditions, you know, because, you know, we work with young people, you know, as well. And we find them in all different types of conditions. Some have, like you said, they have great potential, but just need someone to pull it out. So, but what I've been noticing, and I've been doing a lot of speaking on Rikers Island, and I'm realizing two great things. One of the things we were talking about just a little bit earlier is the mental health piece.
Yeah.
But the other piece is that they're so broken that you have to, and that's one of the things I love about the BRICS program. I don't even know if you've ever heard of it. The installation of hope. You know, there's 3 successful ingredients to any program that you have: installation of hope, self-empowerment, and continuous care. So the installation of hope piece, we utilize it as just, you know, a lot of motivation, a lot of self-esteem building, you know, just a whole lot of that. So from your perspective, how are the kids that you're interacting with, the young people, how are they broken, or have you seen any broken? And then how do you, because it's hard, bro.
It's hard. It's funny. I had this conversation. I was at a mental health facility yesterday, like talking to their director about collaboration and partnership. It's hard. Why? Because as I was explaining to her, like, we become, meaning Drive Change, the job, the training organization, become the solitude. We become the escape from the chaos and the madness that you're going on
Noise.
in your life, at home, on your block, the gangs, the drugs, like all the stuff that's going on in your neighborhood. Like, we become your escape from that reality. And we understand, like, although you might work hard and show a tremendous amount of work ethic for this being your first job ever in your life at 21 years old, we know that when your shift is over, you got to still go back in your neighborhood where everybody, 85% of the neighborhood is blood or Crip or whatever, and you have to navigate through that.
Right.
Then navigate to your apartment where I've had young people that had 7, 8, 9 people living in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I'm talking about 7, 8, 9 adults, not little kids.
Right.
So to deal with that situation, you know, I had one of my young people about a year and a half ago got shot in his neck just for standing outside with a friend of his, outside of his by his projects. Like, and he never was able to recover from that. Wow. And the sad part about it is, like, there are just certain situations or extenuating circumstances that, yes, you can provide mental health, you can provide like counselors and mentors and case managers and things like that. But some things, and I like to believe, like, as much as I love to think that, you know, we all can come back from things, some things are so tragic or so detrimental to some people that they live the rest of their life based off of this traumatic experience. Yeah. And it's not easy. Having mental health providers in place actually, you know, eases the situation, because having someone to talk to. For myself, I didn't mention as well, when I came home up until about a year ago, I've been home almost 7 years, almost 8 years. Up till last year, I was in counseling. Like, I've been in individual counseling, I've been in couples counseling. Like, I knew I needed to speak to someone about the stuff I went through, about the stuff I've seen, like all those things. We all need someone to help us unpack the stuff we're carrying.
Absolutely.
And the sad part about it is we all don't have that outlet, or as the machismo in us males or males of color believe that it's a sign of weakness to express or be transparent in those areas where we feel like, oh man, I don't want to be vulnerable in front of this person because I feel like they're going to take advantage of me, or they're going to use it against me later on, not realizing the importance of your own mental health or mental wellness.
You know, these days it's not even just limited to men. Like you said, if, you know, I talk about being institutionalized, and I don't mean being incarcerated. Just the social climate today, the racial climate today. If everybody around you is sick, how do you know you're sick? Because that's normal to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not until, like you said, somebody shows you something different. You know, I remember, like, coming from a single-parent home. Most of my friends, single-parent homes, mostly mothers. It wasn't until we went to our friend's house that actually had a mother and a father. I said, yo, something's wrong. This is totally different from my crib. So, but it took that. You know what I mean? So a lot of times people don't even know that they're sick or they need help. I won't say sick because sick make it sound like, you know, but they don't know that they need help because everybody that they encounter, their environment, like you said, everybody's basically doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's about creating a new normal. And it's about bringing their awareness level to let them know, like, listen, there's nothing wrong with you per se, but you grew up in a dysfunctional household or environment. And there are a bunch of things that you've learned that you need to unlearn.
Right.
And that's never easy because we're creatures of habit.
Right.
You know, we're so accustomed to doing what we do every day, and it becomes second nature. It comes instinctual. You do it and you don't even realize you're doing it.
Right.
So, yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy.
I was just with a group a couple weeks ago at Rikers Island, and, you know, and I'm talking about change. And one young brother says, well, you know, how do you change? You know, what do you do? And, of course, you know, I gave him the piece. Number one, you have to stop lying to yourself.
Right.
But like you said, you have to be able to recognize other individuals and reach out to them and say, hey, you know, I don't understand. I don't know it. Raise your hand. You'll know who is going to help you. You can feel it, you know, and you have to learn to trust that. Excuse me. And ask for the help to be able to guide you because you don't have a map yet. You know what I mean? You don't have a roadmap. Right. So, and that's one of the things I love about your organization is because, you know, you're not just locking kids down. And, you know, I'm learning more about it already. You're not just locking them down to a classroom. You're giving them, you know, some you know, instruction there. But the real work is on the truck.
On job training.
And, on the job training. And, you know, you're dealing with individuals, you're dealing with people. And it's like, you know, I'm sure that you find those that are apprehensive in the beginning to do certain things because they don't want to do anything wrong.
Yeah.
But
and also them dealing with the customers. Like most of our customers are white, like and from all over the world.
Wow.
Like for the last 2 summers we were on Governor's Island. Most New Yorkers haven't even been to Governor's Island.
Right.
We take the truck on Governor's Island and we encounter all different nationalities of people from Sweden, Australia, all over the place. And we tell them what we're doing. And they're like, whoa, we want to bring this to where we're at. And with the purpose of not just making money of being on Governor's Island, but more importantly, the exposure of a different environment of our young people. You understand we got young people that have never been outside their borough?
Right.
Culture.
Much less like
culture.
Never talk to a white person.
Never like had a fruitful conversation with a white person, or looked at a white person as like, you know what, they're not bad, or look at them like they're an officer, they're coming to get me, or like is a CEO. Like you're nervous and you start having certain physical cues because you see him and it's like, man, I don't feel right around this person. It's like opening and broadening not just the eyes of our young people, but also the eyes of what? The customers.
Absolutely.
A lot of them have never
interacted.
encountered a lot of young people of color that are respectful, that are having entertaining conversation with them, that are not like talking crazy or acting crazy. Like it opens up. It's a double thing. Like us helping and assisting our young people is also educating society. We got a TV screen on the side of our truck, right? And we put things on our TV screen. We play videos, but we also post questions to society like, what does more humane policing look like? And we have them fill out like foghorns and put it all over our truck. So we engage the public with thought-provoking questions like, listen, because we want to let you know, like we're advocates, we're activists, We do advocacies. We do like we did something called the March for Justice, when a group of people we know who are good friends of mine, the New York Justice or what is it, New York City Justice League.
Okay.
They did the march to Washington D.C.
Okay.
They walked from New York to Washington D.C. last year.
Wow.
And we were with them for the first 2 days. We served them lunch and all of that. And we took the truck into Jersey. And it like the experience with my young people was like phenomenal. Like being a part of these marches and like showing up to street fairs and all those other things, and having my young people understand like it's not just about you making money. The importance of giving back, you know, to less fortunate people, giving them grilled cheese and seeing it like so exciting, how like happy they are for getting free food and like some maple lemonade or some like cucumber mint slushy or something. Like it's priceless. It's priceless when you can show how important it is to give away as well.
Well,
to give back.
It seems like you create a positive environment, and I don't care who you are. Whenever you can see a positive result because of your labor, that does a lot for your self-esteem. So winning awards, just people being appreciated. Like I posted something on Facebook about just a kind word, a word of encouragement, because you never know what somebody's going through.
Absolutely.
We got to get up every day and put the face on and go out there and face the world. You never know what a person is going through. So just little things. And I commend you. And more of us need to start getting back to the way they used to be, like our parents were, with the block associations.
That's right.
I come from an era like you cut up in front of somebody's house, they'll beat you.
That's right.
And you might get an extra beating in between that. And then
home.
by the time you get home, they already called down the block.
On top of that,
you're going to get another beating, So, I commend you on that, man. It's a beautiful thing.
And I love the engagement piece because, not only are the young people engaging with the customers, but the customers are also engaging. And it kind of shifts the paradigm from what, people see on the news and the interaction. It's a question that so many people, have in a school in Brooklyn last week. They thought I was a police officer. So I said, okay. So I'm not a police officer.
You kind of like a cop.
So I'm not a police officer. So now who am I?
Exactly.
And they couldn't come up with anything. And fortunate, I'm able to go back and work with them. But it was, it was kind of disturbing to me because, okay, police, homicide, whatever. Okay, fine, suit and tie. I get it. Mm-hmm. But they didn't say athlete. They didn't say business owner. They didn't say, advocate. Anything. It was just police officer and nothing. So,
and that says a lot as far as perception, one,
right.
But also, wow, you can't see yourself as something other than.
Right.
Like, this is why, like, so many, the people can't understand, like, why so many of our young people of color are gravitating towards, like, hip-hop or, like, rap and all that, and they don't realize, like, listen, these young kids, they're becoming millionaires through like rap music and all that. So you have to understand, like, It's not like now everybody's 6'8", 260 pounds and can jump 48-inch vertical like LeBron James. Like, and not everybody could do that. So, but guess what? You could tell your stories through poetry with a beat on it, and all you need is one, and you come up. So I mean, they have to understand, like, this is the opportunity and outlet for young people of color to get rich immediately. And that's why a lot of youngsters, like 1,000,001 mixtapes are released like every week. And the sad part about it is like they don't see outside of that. Like, understand, like, it's okay to try to create your own business.
It is.
But understand you need to learn. You need to get educated on what it takes. If you're complaining about working 40 hours a week, you're not going to be a good business owner because it's going to take you 80 hours, 90 hours, 100 hours a week to run your own business, because you have to be every role in your organization until you're financially in a position to hire someone else.
Absolutely.
So we're going to stop here and take a short break, and we'll be right back with more Roy Waterman. Well, it's funny.
We're done. Okay. Thank you for joining us.
I was talking to Drip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome all to AAU Building Bricks Youth Leadership Show. We want to thank you for the viewers who are joining us, for hanging with us for a whole year, last year, 2015. And we'd like to welcome those of you who are just joining us for 2016. We're just looking to be able to bring you just so much discussion, so much help, so much information that you would be able to apply in your lives and so on and so forth. My name is Herman Dunham Jr. I am your host, and I'm here with my main man.
Co-host William Teddy Portwine. And as he says, we thank you all for the constant support and encouragement and letting us know and giving us the feedback that
Absolutely.
we need to continue to improve as we go forward.
Beautiful. We also want to thank Roger and Shavonna Johnson, Whitney E. Johnson Foundation for, who are our sponsors and producers. And we want to thank them for being able to provide this platform that we can bring in supersonic soul.
Yes. Without them,
Crazy.
this would not be possible.
Right. They
So
allow
we
us.
got to say thanks to our sponsors.
Absolutely. They help us bring in great, wonderful guests like we have here today with Mr. Roy Waterman,
Yes.
who is one of the founding partners of Drive Change. And Roy, we're going to let you do your thing and hit us with another little intro.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again for having me. I'm Roy Waterman. I am the director of program for an organization called Drive Change. And what we do basically at Drive Change is we train, we employ, and we mentor to formerly incarcerated young people, ages 16 to 25, coming home from adult jails and prison. So we teach transferable skills in culinary arts, hospitality, money management, accounting, as well as help them with their license credentials, food handler, mobile vendor's license, as well as pay them a livable wage, not minimum wage. So although making money is very important, we believe the most important thing you can do is what? Assist in the growth and development of our young people's lives. They're the future, so we invest in them, and we are merely just pulling out what's already within them. They just don't realize they have it yet.
Have it yet, right.
So we just pull it out.
I have a super question. I think from, having discussion and so forth and learning a little bit about Drive Change, can you give us a story, that one story that is normally a tearjerker of, and I asked this during the training one time, of that one person that almost made it, but didn't?
Wow.
Not to
I have
make
a couple
you on the
stories.
spot, right?
Okay.
Couple stories, okay.
We had a young person in the first iteration of our program, and he was like very diligent, hard worker, and he was actually housed in a facility, kind of like a halfway house.
Okay.
And he would work with us full time and then go back and like sleep in this place because he really didn't have nowhere to go stay. But he had a brother that lived in the city, but he was basically staying here because he was court involved. He caught a case. And this guy, man, I'm telling you, when a guy not just have potential, but is like actually showing you, like living out exactly what he's capable of, working hard, showing up early, leaving late, like positive energy. And one day he had a dispute with another, one of our young people. And like in this dispute, it's like, it was a disagreement, a little shoving going on or whatever. And he felt like, it was so traumatic. Like he felt like we didn't forgive him as an organization. Like he felt like he let the organization down for like losing his cool. And he never was able to recover from it. It was so crazy. Like it was almost as if he let this dispute with this other young man just take precedence over everything he's done for us. And he he started living with his brother, and then it got to the place where it's like, he just stopped showing up to work, started coming late, and then he, started doing whatever he wanted to do.
Right.
And it was just like, man, like, and I had a conversation with him. Like, listen, man, what's up? Like, we moved on, we forgive you. And it's like, almost as like, he's like, yo, I can't forgive myself. Wow. And it was deep. I was like, man, listen, like, you need to, like, we can only want the best for you. At the end of the day, all people can have is good intentions and want the best for you, but it's ultimately it's up to you. We control our own destiny. Right. It's up to you what it is you do with your life. And if you can't forgive yourself, then you need to seek out help
Right.
to assist in that
Right.
area.
Right.
You know.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I notice just from the work with young people that it's, not only that, just feeling inadequate, so, and I'm thankful for what you do because you take them in any shape, size, condition, whatever, what have you, especially coming, straight out. I've seen the faces, the behavior, the not knowing what to do. So whatever it is that I do is what I do, which isn't normal.
That's right.
Always, and again, that emotional piece, the mental health piece. I like to call it the emotional piece. I think emotional intelligence or emotional stability is different from mental health. So I like to speak from the emotional aspect. But I'm watching the behavior from young men, specifically in Rikers Island, and there's such a lack of being able to know how to filter those emotions. So I definitely understand where you say that, that help is needed, but it has to be done by the individual.
I mean, look, I've gone to Rikers Island several times, like gone in there, spoken to
Right.
groups of people, career fairs and all that.
I got a spot for you on
And-
the 12th if you want to go.
I'm actually speaking at I'm speaking for a conference.
You are busy.
So these guys are babies, man.
Yeah.
Like, you see these kids and they're like 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2", and when you look in their face, they look like they're 12.
That's it.
I'm just like, man, how old are you? Like
Right.
16, 17.
Want to take them home?
And it blows your
It
mind.
does.
That just shows you how fragile life can be.
Yeah, I mean, New York is one of 2 states that automatically charges 16 and 17-year-olds as adults.
As
North
adults,
Carolina being the other one.
Right.
And we're part of the Raise the Age campaign at Drive
Absolutely.
Change. We're part of like if they've passed Ban the Box, but it's their iteration of Ban the Box, and we know how that looks.
Right.
I guess it's a start. We actually got a very important visit in November, early December, from Valerie Jarrett from the White House, President Obama's chief advisor.
Okay.
She came to New York and she heard about our organization. And she
Beautiful.
came to see our organization as well as another organization. So she only came to see 2 organizations. So we got to spend time with her. And I never felt so safe in my life. It was about 8 or 9 Secret Service. I never felt so safe. And we got the Q&A, asked her about the president's initiative, about what's the Brother's Keeper doing? Like, what is the initiative for these young men
Right.
that are dying round the clock in Chicago? Like, what is it looking like in Missouri? Like, what is going on? And we got to have a Q&A with her for over an hour.
Wow.
And informative, enlightening, and to me, the key takeaway from the conversation, what she said to me, and it kind of like, it was probably one of those moments where I took a step back and I was like, wow, like, I've been through a lot of stuff and I'm here today. And for Valerie Jack to say to me, like, okay, what is one takeaway you want me to take back to the president? And I was just like, wow. And my young people around the table as well. So they're chiming in,
Right.
giving their 2 cents or whatever.
Right.
And I spoke about mental health. I decided to choose that topic. Like, listen, I understand you guys are like doing a lot of, resentencing and letting a lot of guys go with drug cases. When do you get to the guys that have violent cases?
Right.
Like, they're people too.
Right.
Even though their
Right.
crimes are violent,
Right.
they need relief as well.
Absolutely.
So when do you get to that? And, her answer basically was like, listen, we had to start with the drug thing because,
Right.
Drug cases are looked at as kind of like victimless kind of crimes or like, non-violent crimes. And the sad part about it is like a lot of violent crimes are because there was drugs involved.
I don't think they really understand the whole drug thing. It's it's crazy.
Social climate. That's all I'm going to say.
I think the ripple effect. They say that the crime doesn't just stop with the act, that it has a rippling effect.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the drug, bro. The drug has a rippling effect.
How about generational effect?
Oh my goodness. Oh boy.
How about a generational effect? Like, I mean, well, when you have a family that, the mother and father, like the mother is a drug addict and the son's a drug, like it gets
Right.
passed down, and without without equal opportunity, without having support systems in place,
Right.
without having people to affirm them, and that's one of the biggest things with us.
Right.
We realize with young people, you have to affirm young people.
Absolutely.
You have to affirm people.
Absolutely.
Period.
Period.
Like without having affirmation and having people speak positive things into your life,
Right.
how far you really can make it.
Right. That's a human basic need.
You need that.
Right.
You need love. You need these
Right,
things.
right.
And like, if you don't know what it's like growing up and like not have that,
Right.
and when I'm talking to you about it, it's like I'm speaking Martian. I'm speaking a whole
Right,
nother language
right,
that
right.
you can't even comprehend.
Absolutely.
So my next best thing to do to display this to you is to show you it.
Right.
Like, you know, by showing you, like taking the time out, investing time in you. You call me 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. You calling me at 10 o'clock at night. I'm picking up the phone. I'm talking to you. What's going on? What's up? What's up? Like, you have to, like, it's, when you're dealing with young people, it's not a 9-to-5 job.
No.
You know, when you're invested in their well-being and in their growth and development, it's not like you punch the clock on them. You care about them, it's a round-the-clock job, man.
No, I'm laughing. I'm laughing. My mentee called me this morning, and we're talking, and you said it's around the clock job. First, he texted me like 7 o'clock in the morning. So like he's up, he's motivated, he's thinking, and I actually had to listen to some rap music. So he was like, "Yo, I came up with a line," and I'm like, "Okay, let me hear it," because he knows, I'm like old school hip hop. I don't want to hear no hooks. Just hit me with some hardcore, some good rap music. Actually good hip hop, not rap music. And I'm laughing because I had to listen to it. And my question for him today was, have you ever thought about bringing your voice down an octave? Simply because, like you said, it's a round-the-clock job. Sometimes you have to do things in order to show the support and the camaraderie and the understanding. I use the word understanding a lot. I'm going to understand everything about you. I'm going to understand it. I may not like it. I may not want to hear it, but I'm going to understand it. And then we're going to move from there. You know what I mean? So always be free and open to me. So I can only imagine what you're going through, getting phone calls.
Yeah, I mean, it's
distress.
Yeah, it's like when you're dealing with like this demographic of people, and I'm not even going to say young people who've been incarcerated. If you're dealing with veterans, if you're dealing with homeless people, like these are all services that, guess what? You're not getting into this profession to get rich. So understand that part first and foremost.
Right.
Like, this is not why you're doing this work. You're doing this because you have a level of humanity within you that you say to yourself that I need to assist people and help them come up.
Right.
Help them get out of their own way.
Right.
And it's hard. A lot of times it's hard because you're fighting them in their own way, and you're fighting them the here and now who don't want to change. So it's not always easy, but at the end of the day, the satisfaction to me is getting a text or email from an employer that says, "Yo, I need another person like this, man. Where did you find like yo, this person is great. This person is this person is that. We love her. We love him. Can you send me another person?"
Right.
And that's what we do. That's part of our fellowship and what we do. Like, we don't place anybody in no job. What we do is we pour into our young people, give them the hard skill as well as the soft skill levels so that they have the confidence level to apply for any job anywhere.
Right.
It's totally up to you. Now, yes, we have a list of employers who want to hire our young people.
Right.
Food truck, restaurant related, all those different industries. But ultimately, it's up to you to go, set up the interview,
Absolutely.
go on the interview. All that's on you. It's not on us. We're not a placement organization. Right. And the problem with placement, to me, in my opinion, is when you're a placement organization, you play around with a lot of like low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
A lot of jobs that are like lower level jobs, you're going to put a lot of your young people in these jobs because you're more dealing with numbers.
Right.
I placed this young person for at least 90 days on the job, so they're deemed to be a success, despite the fact that they're making minimum wage and despite the fact that there's no growth from within the job.
Right.
And we're not about that.
Well, horrible working conditions.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And like, yeah, you need people to work at McDonald's. You need people to work at Target. You need people to work at all these jobs, and that's exactly what they are. They're jobs. We're preparing our young people for careers, though.
Right.
So,
what's the process for Drive Change?
So
if I came out of jail today.
So you contact us. We're working. We're building like we call it a workout. Like, we're going to give you a workout. We do a lot of things. We use a lot of team terminology. So we use the fellowship, and we use like teammates and like, So it's a workout. Like you
Right.
do a workout, intensive, probably 2-week workout. And if you can make it through this workout, then you get accepted into the fellowship. And the fellowship is an 8-month fellowship where you have professional developments twice a week, where you're in classroom learning from not myself, but I bring in different professionals in different areas, whether it be marketing, branding, social justice, like any spectrum. And as well as working in our prep kitchen with our culinary arts director, learning what it is for menu development, recipes. We're the only farm to food truck food business in New York City. I don't know if I mentioned that. So that means that we don't go to supermarkets and buy anything frozen. We buy everything farm fresh. Wow. So so our young people learning, like we get donated vegetables from Battery Park in Randall's Island in the summertime for 100% profit. They give it to us for free. Wow. So our young people get to go on the farms, learn about farming, learn about the growth, vegetation, all that good stuff. And then the food truck is actually the living classroom that goes out in the public and engage with complete strangers, not just about getting them to try to buy food off our food truck, but also educating them on the problems of the criminal justice system and what's going on that they're not aware of.
Right.
So,
Wow. Which was almost everything.
Yeah.
But, you know.
The only difference between Drive Change and Build the Bricks is they get to eat.
Yes,
we feed them, but we don't cook for them.
I mean, we look at, you know what's funny? Because unlike any of a nonprofit, we have the human touch and connection with everyday working people. So we encounter thousands of people a week that typical nonprofits don't, because it's typically in the office, writing for grants and donors and like contacting them. We encounter everyday working people who we look at as possibly potential donors. So we created a model where you can be a monthly donor for like $10 a month, $20 a month, you know, $15 a month, and you can donate this. People get Netflix, Hula, all these different things and pay for these services and never use them. And they're $10, $15, $20. So now you're pouring into helping this organization thrive, and then you'll get a free grilled cheese or free meal off the truck once a month. Wow. So, I mean, we're about, like I said, taking advantage of the human connection of just talking to people and realizing the power in, if you got 1,000 people, 10,000 people to sign up to a $20 a month membership, those numbers add up.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great. Where's the truck normally located? Like,
so we're based out of Brooklyn. My office is at the Pfizer building, which is in Bed-Stuy.
Really?
So, yeah, on Flushing Avenue between Marcy and Tompkins, right across the street, a block from Woodhall Hospital, across the street from Marcy Projects. Okay. And the truck is all over. Governor's Island sometimes in the summertime, Prospect Park, 42nd and Legs, 51st and Park. So when in the springtime, when springtime comes, we will have like a set schedule of where we're going to be 4 or 5 times a week in different locations once a week, probably sometimes maybe twice a week. So people can find us. We're posted on social media. Beautiful. And yeah, I mean, we're like I said, we're all about, we give a good food product. We have phenomenal customer service and hospitality, and that to me is one of the deal breakers. You can have good food, but if your customer service isn't that great, then it's the deal breaker in my opinion, as far as, you know what it's like to go into a restaurant and have good food and have horrible service, and you say to yourself like, man, that food was good, but the service is horrible, so I don't want to go back there. But you also know what it's like to go to a restaurant where the service was phenomenal. The bartender put a little extra in your drink, and but the food was just okay, but you saying, you know what, I'll go back there just because the way I felt, how the person made me feel.
It's about the way you get
the
treated.
experience.
You spend your money where people appreciate you.
And that's the brand.
And that's what we're about.
Now, the question I want to ask you, because the last conversation we actually did have, you was talking about taking your program to all 50 states.
Oh,
where are we
national
at?
model.
Where are we at with that?
Okay, so what we're doing now, as far as our, we're working on building out more of our curriculum now, our program curriculum, as well as infrastructure, back office stuff. So in the springtime, when we relaunch our fellowship, we're launching it with the intention of making it a model that's going to be replicated. And our goal of replication has nothing to do with, unlike most people believe, keep building food trucks. It is to build what's called a food truck commissary. So a lot of people don't know this who are not in the sector, in the food, mobile vending industry, is all these food trucks and food carts you see all around New York City have to park in what's called a Department of Health certified commissary. So we're going to build our own basically warehouse facility, state of the art, partner with 15 to 20 pre-existing food trucks, and their requirement would be to hire out of our pool of young people. So instead of us having to keep reinventing the wheel by building a new food business, keep doing branding over, keep doing marketing over, keep like getting foot traffic and understanding what this truck is about all over again. We're already partnering with trucks that are already existing. And the way this warehouse would look like, it would have space to park 15 to 20 food trucks. It'll have classroom spaces for different classes that can be ran, everything from food handler, mobile vending, to like different marketing, branding, you name it, can be ran in these classes. Office space for us, as well as a retail space with 3 or 4 like a mini food truck hall where 3 trucks can park at any given night, and people can just walk in off the street and come sit down inside and just eat off of food trucks. So this is what our goal is for the next 2 years. We plan on actually having this built by, well, we're in 2016, so more like early, middle 2018. We're already looking at real estate. We have a team working on our legal structure model. We're about to start doing fundraising for it.
Beautiful.
So this is our goal for scaling. And we're planning like start in New York, build a couple of these models in New York, and then send them to all over, because we've been getting emails and calls from all around the nation because we've been featured on pretty much every major network.
Right.
NBC Nightly News did a story on us over a year ago. And once that like went into the universe,
Right.
it's like people were like, we want this in Orlando, we want this in Chicago, we want this in DC.
Beautiful.
And we were only a year in the game. So we didn't even have our model perfected yet. So now we have the time to perfect the model for replication.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's amazing. So question, what type of food is on the truck?
I'm glad you asked. So it's not really a type. So you have barbecue, you have burgers, you have fries. We kind of like coined our own type of food, and then we coined it gourmet lumberjack food. Because it's farm to truck, the one consistent ingredient we use in everything, what kind of makes it like lumberjackish, is 100% pure maple syrup. We use 100% maple syrup in every dish we make. So everything from our deep fried smoked ribs, beer braised beef neck, maple curry chicken salad, our signature best thing, as I like to call it, the best thing.
Whoa, hold up.
I know. I want to hear. I want a menu now. Wait a minute.
Maple curry chicken salad.
I'm getting ready to drive to the truck.
Our signature, as I like to call it, best thing you've never had, or I also call it grilled cheese on steroids. Maple grilled cheese, sharp cheddar cheese, sourdough bread. We drizzle 100% maple on it. It's the best thing you've never tasted, basically. And we do different types of salad, wild rice and rye. But like I said before, the one consistent ingredient we use in everything is maple syrup. So it kind of what sets us apart from everyone else. Our truck, it's blue, it has tons of wood on it, and all the wood on our truck is refurbished wood from Hurricane Sandy. So we're like a big message on wheels. It says drive change. It says we're driving change, ask how. So we engage the public. We want you to ask questions about what is this big blue truck with wood all over it. Right. We're a food truck for social justice. We wanted to get to the place where you can't think about food trucks without thinking social justice. Mm-hmm. Just like how you got young people on the street hustling, grinding, on the streets, making money. What you think the mobile vending industry? You hustling, you're on the street. It's a big time cash business. You're making money. That's what you do.
That's it.
It's the same thing. So they go hand in hand.
It reminds me of like soul food on wheels, because all the elements is bringing the community together, and each one is helping each other.
Right.
But you do it over a good meal.
That's right.
Like Sunday dinners used to be, with the family sitting at the table.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's incredible how much can be accomplished over a shared meal. And I've always said, like, food has the uncanny ability of bringing friends, family, and even enemies together.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Wow, that's amazing. I can't wait to get a hold of that. And you're going to come out and start bringing the truck out in
springtime.
So we can't drop by the office and
no, you can't.
Get some of them.
You can drop by. You can drop by, and I'll give you a tour of my office, and you can see our purple floor and all that good stuff, and get a tour of the truck. And
we want some of them. What you call them? Deep fried ribs.
Oh, deep fried smoked ribs. Smoked for 12 hours, braised for 3, then we deep fry them on the truck.
Does Caribbean Soul Caterers have that too?
Caribbean Soul Caterers does not do that. Could I? Yes, but I don't. That's not on my menu. It's more Caribbean and soul food. I do ribs and all that as well, but no.
Man, I was going to try to circumvent the process.
He's talking about social justice, and then he's going to get somebody kidnapped because they don't serve it. You got to hijack the truck to get the dishes.
We have an event coming up. I was going to be like, yo, let's do Caribbean Soul Caterers.
You can do Caribbean Soul Caterers. You just can't do.
You
can't get the Snow Day food truck.
Wow.
The Snow Day food truck. So we're a hybrid organization. So what I mean by that is, Drive Change is our nonprofit organization. We're a full 501c3. Snow Day is the LLC, it's the food truck. So the profits from the food truck Snow Day recycles back into our nonprofit to subsidize for program costs. So we're a for-profit business that's wholly owned by a nonprofit organization. One of the first of its kind. So we're a hybrid
Okay, nice
organization.
model. Nice model.
The problem with it is you have to have separate books of everything.
Absolutely.
So it's
Yeah.
expensive.
Absolutely.
So it's
Okay,
expensive.
Okay.
Separate insurance,
Okay. Wow.
separate everything. But the food truck it's under the model of the nonprofit, but it's kind of its own separate entity. If anything happened on the truck, we can scrap the truck, make a completely different truck, and it doesn't affect the nonprofit organization.
Beautiful.
So
Genius, bro.
I guess.
Using those assets
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yo, we can't thank you enough. It was a little tricky getting you here.
Yeah.
You know, we was going through some stuff.
He's making the
we
ribs,
respect
man.
it.
He's
I
making the
know,
ribs,
right?
man.
I thought it was winter. We was good, but okay. But we can't thank you enough for coming by, man, and just like hitting us with so much information about this organization that, that we know we're going to support. Even to the degree, well, we're going to wait till the food gets. All right, maybe I'll come before the food.
Don't forget to check
Just
us
wait
out.
till when the food-
DriveChangeNYC.org
Okay.
is our organization. My website for Caribbean Soul Caterers is CaribbeanSoulCaterers.com. And we have tons of media stuff on our website as far as Drive Change videos about us and the video of us winning the Best Food Truck in New York City award in September. So we're looking. The problem with doing great things in a short span of time is you're starting to run out of a lot of different other new things to do.
Right.
We've been featured in the O magazine. We were on Rachel Ray, The Chew,
Really?
and my executive director actually just made the Forbes 30 under 30. Yeah, so we've done a lot of great things in a short span of time.
Okay.
It's just now you have to make the ceiling is glass, and it's like you have to break through and try to find a new goal to reach, so to speak.
Okay.
But we're all about the growth and development of our young people. They're the most important. Our fellows are the most important thing with our
I
organization.
think, and we're going to talk about it offline, I think it would be smart to have the truck hit one of the locations for the conference this year, so that instead of bringing the food in, it'll just be downstairs and
People can come out. We've done that.
Right,
Columbia,
right.
NYU.
We'll work out the numbers.
We've
while
we've
they're
done
getting
that.
it. And
People come outside onto the
Right.
truck, get food. We did a conference at Columbia where Cornel West, he was on the truck, took pictures of my young people and all that. So yeah, we've done it. We can do it.
right.
We can do it.
Well, thank you. We definitely gonna stay in touch. We want to thank each and every individual for staying with us today, and just Roy Waterman, the extraordinaire. So
And as always, our sponsors, Roger and Shavonna Johnson of the Whitney E.
Shavonna.
Johnson Foundation for making all of this possible and providing us with a platform to bring awareness to businesses as well as social change and the positive things that we're doing as a people that's going on throughout the country because we're all over the place.
Absolutely. So we thank you all. Have a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing you next time.